there can't be that many Android devs in the world, so I'm
Well,
always
into
wondering.
it. People are into
That's
it.
surprising.
I mean,
on
millions
on
are
YouTube.
millions.
Yeah, and I have not read anything
Oh,
on the rundown, so I'm gonna have to pretty much wing it. But I'll be fine.
I don't know
You
about
can
millions,
wing it.
Jason. I see 4,200 views.
Wait, no. I saw. That's weird. I
think you
totally.
look at the subscriber count
Oh, is
on
that
the
what?
channel.
I'm trying to remember where I saw it. It came up in an interface that I'm not used to seeing it. I was like, oh, there it is. And it said something million. I was like, oh my God, wow, that really got a lot of views. But you're probably right. It's probably subscriber count. How many subscribers does it have?
1.2 million.
Oh, okay. It still seemed like
Well,
more
I mean,
than a 1
the
million.
teaser got 8.4 million, so maybe it'll take a minute. I don't know.
That's what I mean, right?
Oh, the
8.4 million
teaser
on the teaser?
The teaser
Yes.
was 8.4 million.
Yeah.
I don't know where there's not 8.4 million Android devs. I'm willing to bet money on that. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just underestimating my
I
people.
wonder how that happens, though.
Like bots or like news scraping and
It's on a demo mode.
ooh.
Oh no! How do I get this camera to not do demo mode? There's got to be a way.
Uh-oh.
Demo mode.
Yeah, it just like kicked into like in the store demo mode where it was like,
Do you have a hammer?
no, actually I don't. And if this little pod corner was difficult to get into before today, like now, like I've got this big mount right here that blocks my access there. I've got more cables strewn about underneath, so it's kind of like that scene in Mission Impossible where he's trying to go through the room with all the lasers everywhere and can't touch one of them. That's like me getting into this corner now. Fun times had by all. And by all, I mean just me. Demo mode. Okay, so off. Hey, I found it. Nice.
All right, there it is.
Yeah, baby.
So
I
jealous.
can
I
go
got a
so
white line.
fast.
How are you switching that way? Are you doing OBS? Or?
Ooh.
No, I'm not actually.
I'm gonna guess that's a Stream Deck or something.
It's not a Stream Deck. It is a GoStream M2 little hardware HDMI switcher.
Oh,
And so it
cool.
only takes 2 inputs.
Okay.
But I can also
all you
do
need.
like picture-in-picture things with it. So it's it's like an A10 Mini, but like a stripped down version of it. It was like $100, and I was like, well, I'm willing to spend $100 and see if it does the trick, and it totally does.
Cool.
Is it minier than the mini? The mini is not that mini, is it?
It is. Here, hold on. It is. This is the case for it.
Oh, it is mini.
So
See?
it's pretty mini.
That is pretty mini. Properly
Yeah.
mini. Not
And,
fake
and
mini.
actually, this case, it's half the depth of this because the other half is like cable.
Nice.
So
Oh, wow.
It's like this top half.
Oh.
It's that size, that big. Yeah, neat. I'm so happy. I love getting new gear. I need to stop it though. It's expensive.
Stop it.
Stop buying
it.
stuff. I keep buying stuff.
It's very funny though because Jason, I know you've got the Osmo, whatever, the little camera. What's the little camera thing? The
Yeah,
thing?
Osmo
Yeah.
Pocket 3. I love that thing.
So my cousin is a wedding videographer and also like super into tech and all that fun stuff. And like he got the Meta Ray-Bans to wear while he's filming weddings for like additional content. And I saw that was like last fall. I'm like, oh, you got those Ray-Bans? Like, yeah, they're awesome. Stuff like that. And so I had it. He's been traveling. I had it on my list to tell him about the little Osmo thing. And then today he was shooting a wedding in Northern California, and he posted a video raving about that same device. I guess he mounted it to his dashboard while he drove up through the redwoods and got a beautiful
yeah.
4K video of it. And it was just so it was very cool. So
Nice.
he was ahead of me on it. So.
Yeah, I saw Joshua Vergara had a unboxing of the Pixel 9, and it was the total POV style unboxing or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it, and I've tried to do that with the Osmo. I have this like, it's so nerdy. I have this like chest gear that you screw it onto, right? And so that frees up your hands to do the thing. And yes,
Yeah.
it looks nerdy, but the hope is that the shot looks POV, but it's still like this big cumbersome thing. So I checked in with him and I was like, how did you do that? Because this is what I'm trying now and it's not working very well. And he was like, oh, close. Same camera, except he uses like a neck thing. It's like a necklace with a little mount here. So you
Guys are
mount it there
nerds.
and then
You need to take behind the scenes photos while you're doing it. Like
oh,
of the
totally.
rig and
Tell me
everything.
about it. I know. It's ridiculous. And then real quick before we start, let me share my screen here. For some reason, I feel the need to show this. Beware. No, not really.
I just
There-
realized I
there you
muted
are.
myself about a minute ago, and I forgot.
Oh, cool. Look at that.
There was
Where's
2
the
seconds
setup?
ago. So,
Where's the switcher?
switcher's right
Oh,
there.
it's so
Oh,
cute.
cool. Oh,
He's a
neat.
tiny little guy.
Adorable.
It's nice.
He's a little guy. And then I got a little overhead mount now. Then I got a little
Beautiful.
camera coming over the top. So.
And when you're done with the podcast, you just roll into bed.
That's right. Then I just hop over into bed, maybe iron my clothes with the ironing board. Take a shower. Yes, this is my bedroom, everyone. Thank you. Anyways,
I'm actually kind of jealous of how clean your bedroom is.
we just did a big house cleaning, so it's about as clean as it'll ever be right now.
That's fair.
If this was an HGTV show, we'd say, this is where the magic happens.
Okay. Well, let's see here. I am almost ready. Let me get
Cool.
these links open. Is weather starting to cool down for anyone?
It's going to be even hotter tomorrow.
98 today.
Oh, really? Yeah, it was really hot today.
I
I think
don't
I'm
know.
It'll
starting.
be
Let's- It's
90,
It's always hot here.
90 in New York
That's
tomorrow.
true.
91, sorry, 91 tomorrow.
That's
But
about
then
what it's going to
this
be
is
here.
this is what I don't understand about weather. It's going to be 91 tomorrow and then 73 on Thursday.
What don't you understand?
That's weather in Denver. It just, you never know. You don't fucking know.
How can it do that?
No. I mean,
It's
but
wild and
even so,
crazy.
like,
That's why.
91
Pressure
in New York,
systems.
91 in New York, that's like a trash index of like 95, 96.
Yeah.
Once you factor in, the melting garbage everywhere.
Hey, Adam, say a few words for me. I just realized your settings were adjust mic volume automatically, and I need to set it.
A few words for me. I'm
You
very
know
literal
you need
when
to say more
following
than that.
instructions. So I'm a big fan of New York. You can tell. Love it so much.
I think that's good.
But okay,
All right, you can shut up now. No, I'm just kidding.
I probably that's usually the wiser course.
I think it was because you were reclining. You were so relaxed that I was
Yes.
worried that your audio was really low, but it was just that
No,
you were chill.
I was just using bad microphone form.
You were chill, Adam.
Potato.
All right.
I think I'm going to do a lemonade stand with the kids tomorrow.
Sweet.
Nice.
Aw, that's
90
cute.
degrees. That's a good thing to do, right? Kids like that.
Are you going to have a kids section and an adult section where you serve hard lemonade?
tempting? Tempting. So,
How old are your kids?
5.5.
5?
Yeah.
That's borderline.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
next year, if they do a lemonade stand, you gotta hide because nobody wants to buy lemonade from a 30, 40 something year old dude.
Right, but when you get the cute kids, it's okay. So
Right. But yeah, the cute kids only work until they're like 6. After that,
Right,
they
yeah.
gotta go. After that, they gotta become entrepreneurs.
that's what I figure. I got to show them the way. So
Yeah.
Hey, my 11-year-old daughter just had a lemonade stand with her friends around the corner. Each of them made $25.
Hey.
cool.
That entrepreneurial
daughter-
spirit being built up really early.
Yeah,
Yeah. My daughter is
totally.
just
saves the
is turning
money, too.
14, and she had a lemonade stand this past summer. So yeah, it's never too old.
Did I tell you my most successful earliest entrepreneurial thing was in 4th grade. My elementary school had a little PTA school store where like one of the moms would come and it was a broom closet. And during lunch, they'd have a table of and she'd go to like the supply store and get pens and markers and things like that and sell it, whatever. This enterprising mom decided to buy a box of Topps baseball cards and sell baseball cards, of which now this is 1986. So it's the height of the Mets fury and like all this sort of stuff. And so everybody goes crazy for it. They sell out in the first day. She only buys 1 box a week. They sell out in a day. And it's like, next Monday, I'll have more. So entrepreneurial Ron steals $20 from my mother's purse, and I am the first in line in the school store, and I buy the entire box. And then I squirrel it away, put it in my book bag, don't let anyone look at it, go home. These are the old wax packs. I proceed to open the wax packs and take out all the good cards and remake the packs. And then the next day bring them to school and sell them at double the price.
Oh my God.
And then I got suspended.
I can't imagine why. You're lucky that's all that happened to you.
I remember sitting in the principal's office and being told, "You can't do that." And I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Why not?"
At that point, you have to turn around and say, "Okay, but which part?"
Right, exactly.
You can't do that. Well, obviously I can.
I never told them about the stealing the good cards from the packs. No one knew about that, but what they got me was this selling them during lunchtime at double the price. Like that's what they. And I was like, "Listen, supply and demand. This is a lesson. This is a."
No kidding. Yeah. My fifth grade teacher, again, mid '80s, used to sell sealed box sets of Topps and Donruss cards to his students for like $25 a piece.
Jeez.
And like it was the complete set, so like nothing shady. Yeah. But yeah, so I actually have, I think like 84, 85, 86, like 3 consecutive years of like complete sets of those cards.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean it would have been nice if they didn't tank in value.
Yeah, it's true. Wouldn't it be nice? All right, let's do a show.
Okay, so who's doing the intro and stuff? I didn't realize I didn't set that. When you want to do it?
I can do it. I can do it. I can do it.
Since you were out
I would say I'll do it, but I have a bunch of the promo stuff. So
yeah.
All right, I'll do it. I don't even know. Episode title, episode number 59, date 8/27/24. Guest Adam Doud, lower third, benefit of the doubt. Start new show. Oh, I started too high. I see. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you don't start that high.
Okay.
A real professional like Huyen would know that.
Huh?
But
Right. That's true.
all right, I'm gonna set everybody into the backstage area until we get to you. In the meantime, go away, and we won't hear you anymore. I'm sorry. We won't hear you anymore. And I will stop my camera, but keep my mic so I can interject weird things while you're talking and throw you off. All right. You ready?
Ready.
Here we go.
Hey, and welcome to Android Faithful, where without a doubt, we are your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps in the world of Android. No, that's not a spoiler, but I'm Huyen Tue Dao either way.
Boy, I saw that coming. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards.
And I'm Mishaal Rahman.
And boy, we got a full house tonight.
But we do.
We do.
We do.
We also got a whole lot of news to go through.
Yes, we do. Yes, it's a
goodness.
busy week. Here it is. But not only are the four of us back together, but we were very, very excited to welcome good friend of the show, special guest, Mr. Adam Doud.
Oh, hey
There he
there.
is.
How's it going? It's I'm just kidding. That's me. How's it going?
Like
A little bait and
that's
switch
on
right there.
camera.
How did you do that? That was like
I
magic.
quickly snapped a selfie after you banished me into the backstage. And so, anyway,
Don't do
Well,
that
welcome,
again.
Adam. It's good to have you on the show. As we as you
good to see
as you accurately noted in the pre-show, a lot of pixel talk this week, huh?
yeah, a little bit. It's good to be back. Thank you for having me.
It was great to see you at MBG, by the way, a couple weeks ago. Also, we were
Yeah.
all together. Yeah, so
Got to
that
see
I
you,
got
like,
the
in
whole
person.
set. I saw every one of you. It was fun.
Collect all the cards.
It was a good time. Well, some other folks will have another opportunity to collect all the Android Faithful cards because we have a big announcement tonight that we're super excited to let everyone know about. DroidCon is coming to New York City this September. In fact, September 19th and 20th, less than a month away. And we're super, super, super excited to announce that we will be there. So if you are a developer or working in the world of Android or something like that, like Miss Wynn here, who's going to be there as a guest. If you click, by the way, Jason, if you click on the speakers, I think if you hit the little menu button, the menu bar, upper right, and hit speakers,
speakers.
Wynn is prominently featured
They might have rotated me out, Ron. Into
did they?
alphabetical
When
order.
I
don't
looked,
know.
you were
Scroll
like,
down. I know.
yeah.
I was very happy.
Oh, yeah,
scroll
you
down.
were first before. Now you're not.
No,
Oh, well,
Jesse Wilson, but Jesse Wilson's a cool guy. Yeah,
you've been
I'm down there.
rotating.
It's alphabetical by first name, but yeah, I'm going to be speaking.
Oh, there she
There
is.
you are. Yeah.
There I am.
Yeah.
Talk about compose. Drink.
Awesome. Well, and we will be there, and we're going to be recording interviews for this very show live at DroidCon New York. So if you are interested in attending DroidCon, go to nyc.droidcon.com, get your ticket today, and you'll be able to see us and hang out with us at the show. We're super excited. All 4 of us will be there. I'm excited to have you guys in my backyard in lovely Queens, New York, where the event is going to be. So it should be a fun time.
Yeah, it's one of the it was my second Android conference ever, and it's always been a really great one, a really important one for the community. At least I say that from very personal experience. So yeah, it's going to be a good time. So if you are interested in Android development, you should definitely go. 100%.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And it should be mentioned that when Ron says "in my backyard," he literally means in his backyard because this is a low budget operation here.
No, they're having it
tent set
at a
up
lovely venue in Queens that I driven by many times late at night on the way home from being out. And yeah, it's all my old stomping grounds in the Long Island City Astoria area, which is pretty cool. So I love it. Sweet. And so in addition to that, also, if you want to show your Android faithful pride, I want to let everyone know that over at Threadless, they're having a Labor Day sale where you're going to be able to get t-shirts for $12.50 and long sleeve t-shirts for $20, basically up to 40% off everything over there at androidfaithful.threadless.com. So if you still don't have an Android Faithful logo shirt, now's your chance to go get one. I think it's going to end right after Labor Day, like around September 3rd or 4th or so. So get on that, everybody. So cool.
Get some clothes.
Yep.
You know, it's almost winter. You're going to need like layers upon layers of Android Faithful stuff. Layer it up. Make it happen.
I'm going there right now. So, yeah.
Good. Cool. Get a sweatshirt, get a tank top, cover all the bases. All right, let's talk about news because, boy, we have a lot going on this week that we got to talk about. So we might as well get right to it. And we'll start off with an article that I read, and I'm really curious to hear what you all have to say about this. But The Verge's Sarah Jeong, someone who I'm a big fan of her writing and everything. She wrote an article for The Verge about the Magic editor for the Pixel 9 called "No One's Ready for This," and essentially what she's writing about is the Reimagine tool or feature, whatever you want to call it, in Google Photos, and kind of making the case that the lowering of the bar for entry of manipulation of photos with artificial intelligence, which is what a Reimagine is, for those who don't know. If you're in Google Photos and you have a picture, you can go into the editor, jump into the Magic Editor mode, and then you can select a portion of the screen. And, their demo was you could change the grass into daffodils or change the sky from cloudy to sunny or whatever. But what Sarah did is, she went in and used the tool to create, very, in some cases, horrific scenes, like a helicopter crashing into a pond or a lake or something. A woman who was sitting on the carpet in the original image, but in the doctored image through Magic Editor has lines of drugs and a syringe and a bottle of wine and all this stuff that essentially like the subway and the bag of wires down by a pillar in the subway that's AI generated. And her overall point is this tool actually brings a tool to people with low effort. And, it's essentially the talking point around AI being an incredible misinformation and propaganda and all that kind of stuff tool set. And right. I love, before I pass the mic, I love that the last 3 words that she wrote is "we are effed." But I mean the actual word. So I think, what do you guys think?
It's funny that you say this, and Adam, I'd love to hear what you think of it. But Wynn, do you remember during this demo at Made by Google, I leaned over to you and said, and when they're showing they showed the final product of the person sitting in the field of flowers, and I leaned over to you, I said, "But it's not real."
Yeah.
Right. Like that we zeroed in on that same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam, I'd love to hear it because you are a very pragmatic scope of the world. What do you think of this?
Well, first of all, I should mention, and we'll get into this when we talk about my review of the Pixel. But I'm guilty of this because I placed myself and Jason Howell on a rich Hawaii vacation with a selfie that I grabbed at Made by Google. I grabbed that and then I said reimagine as a beach there we go with a cruise ship in the background. So I mean.
You guys went on such a nice vacation. That's so cool.
I know. I was actually really surprised that the cruise ship let us borrow that rowboat for as long as they did. But yeah. So anyway, I just have to wonder, like, how. It's real easy to say, oh yeah, you can do this and you can do this and you could do this terrible thing with all these. I just have to wonder, like, how many people are actually going to do it? Yeah. Like, there's going to be bad actors, obviously, and that's like at the center of the misinformation train. There's going to be bad actors that are going to use every possible resource at their disposal to create bad things. And so I just have to wonder, like, how frequent this is actually going to be. I don't know. It's just, yeah. I mean, Google, when they were talking about this feature, was talking about an idealized version of events, and this is clearly going the other way. And I remember when the Pixel 8 came out, The Verge said something to the effect of, "We can never trust a photo taken by a Pixel ever again," or something like that. And it was
a little hyperbolic.
Seemed a bit much, but I mean, and it looks like The Verge is definitely continuing down that trend. But that's okay. I mean, we need people to think of these terrible things. I mean, so that
it seems like it would be responsible of Google to have some similar to some of the AI tools, the image generation tools that get a little watermark in the lower corner or something that says that made with this or whatever, something like that. But some way to digital fingerprint, which I think Google talked about, right? Mishaal, hasn't that come up in the past, or they're fingerprinting the technology?
They've talked of ways to like embed like a fingerprint inside the image, but they're kind of useless right now because nothing supports those fingerprints, like actually showing you, besides like Google search itself. Like this image is AI generated, but like if I share it on Twitter, there's no indication that it's AI generated.
Putting something in the EXIF or the metadata or something like that would be interesting.
Even those are useless because you'd have to recognize it and actually show it. You need to open it
and look at it. But I will say, in devil's advocate, in defense, and this is the same when we were talking at the event, in defense of the tool, like, I don't necessarily wouldn't want to do that to reimagine a photo of the five of us on a tropical vacation we didn't go on to create some fiction. But if I was a young creator and I was making an album cover for my band and I want to take a picture of the band and put them, in a different place or whatever, this tool could help you as a creation tool. And the difference is between documenting a moment and creating a photo that represents a moment of something that happened in real life and using it as a tool of creation for representation or art or some other thing. And I think that line doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah,
I think the reason that the Pixel is getting so much, heat over this in particular is because all the other image generation tools have had a much higher barrier to entry to use them. Like Midjourney, for the longest time, you literally have to sign up and go on their Discord server, right? Yeah. Like Twitter's one, you have to sign up for Twitter Premium. This one is literally it's available out of the box for any user who buys a Pixel 9. And it's so easy to use. It's literally like Google. We had the same argument with the Pixel 8 last year, like what is a photo? Like Google was criticized for Magic Editor for basically democratizing Photoshop. The same thing. You have the same arguments happening here. They're democratizing Photoshop. But the difference is last year you were just erasing stuff. There was not really much harm you could do with erasing things.
You were creating things, right? Yeah.
But now you're literally creating things out of thin air. And of course, if you pixel peep, there's a lot of telltale signs, but a lot of them are pretty convincing at a glance. And I think that's kind of the problem that The Verge pointed out. And of course, as like many creators have pointed out, the safeguards are not that great at actually preventing you from generating unsavory things or potentially like copywritten material.
Google
guardrails
nor
are
any
way
company
behind.
will ever be able to build in guardrails that protects it against everything. That's just a fact.
It's a losing battle.
It's a losing battle.
Wait, after you.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, but even if you kind of take out, and I actually don't have that much faith in humanity, given the prevalence of like things like, I don't know, like revenge, PORN, and other things like that. It's not even the fact that someone could actively do it. It's the fact now that it's plausible to question reality. And even something that is legitimate. And this is kind of a problem, especially in the U.S. politics and anywhere, is that you can easily just say that you don't believe something, say something is fake. And before it was kind of like, yeah, haha, whatever. But now, we're in the political discourse. There's people just calling to question things that are real because very plausibly, I mean, and that situation, kind of like generalizing situation. Yeah, sure. You can now anybody can plausibly make very realistic, hard to identify, fabricated pictures. And so even if people are not necessarily bad acting, it's that questioning of now, well, what is reality? And even questioning things that are genuine as being fake, that also causes problem in my mind. And yeah, like I think normal people like, yeah, the XF is nice, but that's not what people will respond to. That people we barely fact checked as it is. Having to actually technically like process something and determine whether it's false or real is just Pandora's box has been open though. So it's now like, what are we going to do about it?
I mean, look at this, and we want to avoid politics and all this sort of stuff. And I agree, I don't want to get into it, but just look recently when one of the candidates recently posted,
yes, exactly,
a very prominent, influential celebrity saying that person endorsed them when it was not real and did not happen. Like,
but at the same time, what happened there? Everybody called them out.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
At the end of the day, they're tools. And there's the tools, and then there's the people that use them. And whether this tool existed or it didn't, people will still do bad things.
Yeah.
This does lower the barrier for this particular type of tool. But my guess, my total guess, is that this is going to be a flash in the pan feature that most people don't ever think to use.
Well, I was going to say,
there's going to be a small group of people that do, and that do bad things, but that's the same with every technology. That's just the way it goes.
I was going to say, is this the right time to quote the immortal Ian Malcolm with we're so preoccupied with whether or not we didn't stop to think if we should with this sort of technology.
You had that photo queued up, didn't you?
Oh yeah,
you were
just sitting on my desktop. Yeah. So,
but one of the things that's worth pointing out is Google and Pixel is not the only one at fault here. Let's not forget Samsung has a ton of AI in their stuff too. And I would like to point out Exhibit A. This bird does not exist, but I just drew a quick sketch of a bird sitting on my shoulder, and there it is. I mean, it's I would say even more. Well, not even. No, that's not fair. More than a lot of the AI that's out there, Samsung is doing a lot of really creepy good, like in a very good way. Samsung's doing a lot of stuff with AI that is, I did another photo where I took a picture of like an empty bike trail and I drew a bad sketch of a dog on it, and it generated like a white dog, but it also replicated the shadow pattern that was on the ground onto the dog. And it was kind of creepy, amazing, like how well Samsung did that. So like I just want to make sure that we're spreading out the blame everywhere it belongs.
Fair. Yeah, sure.
So I mean, Pixel's obviously top of mind right now, but Allison Johnson from The Verge wrote about her blurry bee moment, where she like sketched in a bee next to a flower, and the flower was out of focus, and so was the bee that was generated. So, The Verge has been on top of Samsung as well. So,
and I guess to your point, Jason, this problem is limited to people who buy a Pixel or buy a Samsung and then use the piece of software. Right, it's not prevalent where it's available on all phones, stuff like that. But how long until that happens, right? How long until the mid-range catches up with the ability to run a Gemini Nano or whatever, or type sort of thing, and then it goes wide, right? Like, is it just this is like the first pitch of the first inning in terms of this topic. So.
Right.
Yeah. That was oddly good foreshadowing for a later story, Ron, but we'll get to that later.
Indeed. All right. Well, speaking of foreshadowing, we got some news, right, Win, in terms of dates?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't like many of our news items, our news things. This is from Mishaal, but wait a minute. So in regards to when will Android 15 update come out? We had a poll, and I don't remember what we all said. Ron,
we were talking before Labor Day, and I went pretty hard on it being made by Google, and I was wrong. I was wrong. Mishaal, you said after Labor Day. You were saying into September. So
I said early September,
right?
And I had a reason for saying that, which I could finally talk about. But then there's another bit of news that surprised me even more, that caused me to write 2 articles on Android Authority, and then another one late that night because it was a wild ride. So I don't know if you want me to take over from here, or if you want to keep going.
I mean, I guess what so it sounds like from your sources, you originally had the idea that, October is going to be the day, but there was a very particular reason. Is that right?
So
why it was confirmed?
I've known for a while that the first week of September will be is when Google plans to release the source code for Android 15. What I didn't know is when Google will release the Android 15 update for Pixel phones. But I recently learned that Google is planning to roll out the update in October, possibly in the middle of October. And that surprised me a lot because, well, usually Google times up the release date so that the source code drop and the Pixel over-the-air update happens on the same day. The only time that didn't happen in terms of the major OS updates was Android 12, and there was a 15-day gap between the two. But now it looks like with the source code drop, according to my sources, happening next week, on September 3rd, most likely, and this Android 15 update for Pixel phones happening in the middle of October, this would be literally the longest gap ever between the source code release and a Pixel over-the-air update. And when I published my article about the Android 15 update rolling out in the middle of October, there was a lot of skepticism, of course, because people didn't believe me for various reasons. They're like, "Oh, that's not true." But then later that night, Google mysteriously updated the screen that appears when you opt out of the Android 15 beta, and at the very top, there's now a note that says if you want to, if you actually zoom in on that a little bit, Jason, it says that if you are waiting for the Android 15 stable update, please ignore this OTA till Android 15 is available in October. So yes, Google has confirmed that the Android 15 update is rolling out in October for the Pixel phones. And based on what I know, it's going to happen in the middle of October. So yeah, there's going to be quite a bit of wait if you're holding out for Android 15 on your Pixel phone.
That's so weird.
Interesting.
It's grammatically incorrect.
Yeah,
like till is not a thing. And even if you're abbreviating till, that's not how you spell till. But anyway, so that's weird. And now I'm wondering, is this made with AI?
Oh, yeah, there you
Could
go.
be. Could be. It should have some metadata, though, so that we know for sure.
Should.
Till. That is interesting. Till.
Damn it, Jim, I'm an engineer, not a grammatician. Is that the right word for that?
Damn it, Jim.
I'm an editor when I'm not writing, so sorry, folks. It's not getting
It's hard to
past me.
turn it off. When you're that kind of it's hard to turn it off. Yeah.
No,
It was
That's
not
right.
typed
really
with Gboard. Let's just say that. Gboard would
Yeah.
have that.
They definitely did not push the fix-it button when they were done.
What a roller coaster, though.
Is it interesting? Yeah, is it interesting that the Pixel doesn't have the next version of Android? Didn't that used to be the big selling point? Or maybe that was more a Nexus selling point than a Pixel. I don't know. Maybe
The
I'm
Pixel
getting
9
confused.
it's their first mainline Pixel series that hasn't launched with that year's latest version of Android.
Yeah.
Because they pushed it ahead 2 months. So Android 15 literally wasn't ready at the time they released it.
I mean, are we thinking about this in reverse? Because historically, the phones have been made by Google was an October event, right? And I know there was a lot of chatter at MBG. I had a couple of conversations about why were we having this in August, and there was speculation that Google wanted to get ahead of Apple's next iPhone announcement and release, to get ahead of all the AI stuff and be first and leading that and all that sort of stuff. And so that would require moving the devices up to August, which goes against the regular time frame for Android, which if everything had kept as it was over the years, they would have lined up in October as we're talking about. So I wonder if it was more the business need to get the hardware stuff out early, which is speculation on my part, that could be the reasoning there.
Yeah, they definitely wanted to get ahead of the iPhone. That's what I think,
Yeah.
and that's why they pushed it ahead so early.
Yeah.
And the Android release cycle is much less flexible than the Pixel hardware
It's locked
because
in
they have
there
so many
months ago.
commitments when they're working on Android, not just themselves, but like all these other companies that rely on the dates, the source code being released, and everything being finalized. So Pixel 9 with Android 14 out of the box, which is not that big of a deal because it'll get all the updates it's promised.
Right.
People
This
are
is all
oh,
moot.
they're gonna give you one less update, but
Right.
that's not how it works. They're promising years of updates, not number of updates.
Right.
This is all moot in November, right? This is all over once it's out and everyone's updated, everyone's up to say it's fine. So,
But it is an interesting choice from a company that has preferred its Pixel devices in this way.
but there are trade-offs left and right. I'm sure that when they talked about it, like we're going to move the device up to August, I'm sure the Android guy at the table was like,
Boss, I'm a little embarrassed to point out that I kind of forgot that the Pixel didn't have Android 15 on it already. Like it probably should have. So like when you brought that up now, I'm just like, oh yeah. Huh, that's funny. And like I am definitely not the, and I've said this before on these airwaves. I am not the uber nerd that like digs into the guts of Android. I'll just kind of take what I'm given, and that's fine. And I suspect that most Pixel buyers will probably do the same.
Yeah,
So, not a big deal for me.
But for those of you who do care about the guts of it, thankfully we have Mishaal.
That's right.
Right.
He's spilling the guts left, right, and center. Android 15.
So
violent.
we're still going to get a QPR, right? Mishaal, this is all that's still on track.
That's right, Ron. So even though we still have over a month until the Android 15 stable release, we're already getting betas for the Android 15 QPR1 release, which will happen in December. And actually, last week on Thursday, Google released Android 15 QPR1 Beta 1, which on the surface doesn't have a lot of new features, but if you dig under the hood, as I usually do, there are a ton of new changes to look forward to. The first one is an update on the Lockscreen Widgets feature that I've been hammering on about for months at this point. So this feature, which will allow you to place widgets on the lock screen, but only on tablets, is nearly ready to launch. The reason I know that is because in QPR1 Beta 1, they've added introductory text, like a tutorial basically, that explains how the feature works, some of the limitations of the feature. This is something you only do when you're polishing up the feature and you're getting ready to launch, right? So what they added basically is now when you swipe over on your tablet from inwards from the right side, there's now a screen. Jason's not showing that right now. That was a previous screen, actually, that basically tells you that you can add widgets to the space. And then when you click on the Add Widget button, you get this dialog at the bottom that tells you, anyone who's using your tablet can see your widgets, which, is something obvious if you're using this feature the first time, but it's a stark reminder that, you should only place widgets that doesn't show sensitive information, because anyone who picks up your tablet will be able to see and access those widgets also. Another limitation that they mentioned, actually a disclaimer at the bottom says that some widgets aren't suitable for being placed on the lock screen. And I think that's interesting because when I previously took a peek at this feature, not every widget was eligible to be placed on the lock screen. Only widgets that use an ancient API that was introduced in Android 4.2, back when Android used to have lock screen widgets. Then they got rid of them, and now they're bringing them back. Wow. That API, they used to limit only widgets that use that API would show up on the lock screen, but they got rid of that requirement, and it looks like they'll allow any widget to be shown on the lock screen. Although, as they mentioned in the disclaimer, not all widgets are suitable.
I was gonna say there might be some inappropriate content widgets that are right. Is that meant as a protection? So,
the next feature that I have talked about is desktop mode. That feature is, I think, a bit further away from release. I highly doubt we'll see it in the December QPR1 release, but they are starting to add some settings that indicate eventually you might be able to beta test it yourself. So within the developer options, there's a new enable desktop mode on secondary display setting that wasn't there before. And that replaces the forced desktop mode option that's been in Android since, I think, Android 10. So this option, when you enable it, doesn't do anything right now. But what I suspect will happen is that in a future release, this will allow you to test the desktop windowing changes that I have previously documented on Android Authority a couple of months ago that you can check out. So, if you're hoping for desktop mode on Android, you're going to have to wait a bit more, but progress is being made, I assure you.
Dex becomes a
Someone
reality.
out there is waiting for it.
I would love to use it.
Surely.
I think that's so cool. I mean, that's the one thing I've always given Samsung props about Dex is that like
They were well ahead of the curve.
the Star Trek / the Expanse future where our phone is our computer and you just plug you either plug it in and it goes up on the display or you put on a pair of glasses and you can see it, but everything you need being on here would be that I think is the ultimate future where we got this stuff's got to happen first. So.
Right.
Cousin of Ja has been waiting for years. Seriously,
chat,
don't
in the live
disappoint
chat.
Cousin of Ja. Make it happen.
And the next one is a complete revamp to Do Not Disturb mode in Android. So it looks like Google will be basically supercharging Do Not Disturb mode and turning it into priority modes. So right now, Do Not Disturb basically is something you can schedule. You can schedule it based on when someone contacts you to bypass it. You can schedule it based on a timer or a calendar event. But soon you'll be able to create custom priority modes that you can apply a custom name to, a custom icon to, custom scheduling, custom start and end times, custom calendar events that trigger it. You can also do additional things that you couldn't do before with Do Not Disturb mode, like automatically turn off always on display, dim the wallpaper, and things like that. So basically they're just expanding the customizability of Do Not Disturb mode. And it looks like you'll be able to create a whole bunch of custom priority modes, whereas before you had just one Do Not Disturb mode and a couple of other things like, the sleep mode that you could enable in settings. And lastly, Google is working on revamping the screen recording system. So right now, one of the issues with the screen recorder is that whenever you start a screen recorder, you get a little indicator in the status bar. That indicator isn't really useful. All it does is tell you that the screen is being recorded. It doesn't tell you how long the screen has been recorded for. And more importantly, in order to actually stop the screen recording, you still have to pull down the status bar, which means that status bar gets shown in your screen recording. And you've probably seen thousands of screen recordings at this point where it ends with someone pulling down the status bar.
Yep.
Well, soon that'll be a thing of the past because this new screen recording chip will show you the duration of the screen recording, and you can also tap it to show a dialog to stop the screen recording. So your status bar and your notifications will no longer show up in screen recordings. And this is not only being applied to screen recordings, but also to screen castings that are being done from the status bar, and also third-party apps that record or cast a screen, although they use a slightly different icon and wording for that. So Jason is showing the video demo that I recorded for Android Authority right now. And as you can see, I'm just tapping the status bar, and it brings up this dialog where you can stop the recording. I think this is it's not a huge change, but I think it's long overdue, and I'm ready to finally see all those screen recordings that end with someone pulling out a status bar no longer appear on the internet.
It's a quality of life update. That's nothing wrong with that.
I was going to say, Mishaal, this is a feature that's made for you because you, of most of the people that I know, do a lot of screen recordings for your.
Oh, I don't use Android screen recorder.
Oh, what do you use?
I mirror my phone screen to my PC, and then I use using the app called Screen Copy, and then I record it from my computer so I can better control it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I thought of you when I read this.
A little more
more
production
pro,
over there in Mishaal HQ, right? Wow.
For all us lazies, we don't have to pull down the thing anymore, so that's fine.
Well, that won't be the only thing you hear from Android 15 and Pixel 9s because we do want to take a moment and stop and thank our loyal patrons over on patreon.com/AndroidFaithful. We want to thank all of you for supporting the show, and you can get in on it by going to patreon.com/AndroidFaithful. And every week, our loyal patrons get to vote on a news story for us to discuss here in the show. And so we're going to keep on rolling with the theme. But the stories that were voted on this week was Microsoft OneNote wants to be your default note-taking app. That got 17% of the vote. Big oof, the Pixel Watch 3 can't be repaired, only replaced. That got 39% of the vote. And the story that won all the votes, the winning story was Google finally lets you record phone call audio in the U.S., but only on the Pixel 9. And Mishaal, this is yet another one of your pieces over on Android Authority that back in the day, us old Android users 11, 12 years ago, we could record phone calls all the time. Like, Jason, do you remember that? There were apps. Mm-hmm. There were so many apps that let you record phone calls, and then I forget what version, Mishaal, you probably know, but then they locked it down, and recording phone calls went away.
Yeah, you could potentially still do it when you're rooted.
Yeah, exactly. But, there are ways around it, but at the app level and at the OS level, it went away. Finally, now here in the US, the Pixel 9 brings it back, thanks to a new feature called Call Notes. That uses the Gemini Nano, AI model on the device, and it allows you to record a call, transcribe it, and summarize your call. That recorded audio is analyzed on the device via Gemini Nano, and then it gives you a great output of the conversation as well. You can hear back on the recording, and I mean, this is something. I mean, Mishaal, I think in your piece you said it is long overdue, right? And I'm sure Adam is a journalist, and as we all, all doing our various things, not having an easy way to record phone calls is something I've cursed on over the years. I'm like, why can't I do this easily? And it just took Gemini and the need to have a call summary to like kind of fold it in there, didn't it? So is this something?
And also Apple doing an iOS this year.
Maybe trying to keep up with Apple, right? Yeah.
Well, as a resident of the great state of Illinois, which is one of like 4 two-party states in the United States, I would like to say I'm sorry that we had this feature removed. And by the way, I understand that I am being recorded, so you are all off the hook now. So,
No, I was a little concerned about that. Can I just say that I tried a couple of times to use the call summary feature, and it never worked for me.
Wow.
You know, it's funny. I always forgot about it until I was like hanging up a phone call, especially like when I had several phone calls with like repair shops that like it would have been nice to have a summary of what they had just said. And I would like go to hang up, and I would see like the little dialogue there that says you could record this call, and I'm like, crap. Never mind.
Ship has sailed.
I want it to be on by default. We need that.
Yeah. Right, just every conversation gets recorded, and you get a summary of everything. I mean, the thing is, for me, I've stopped using the phone entirely, like as little as possible, right?
Only if I have to.
Yeah,
only if I have to, right? And so, although, but with a call with a doctor or with some sort of a important
professional
conversation
of some sort.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Just so you can be clear on what you're discussing, and like, Lord knows, I mean, like the AI summary on meetings, to have a little AI bot listening on meetings on Zoom and stuff like that, and then get a summary of what was discussed has already been super helpful in the workplace. And so I just see this as like an extension of that. So, Cool. Well, thank you, Mishaal, for that update on call recording. And I also want to thank Jason. If you pull back up the Patreon page, I don't know if you closed it or not. Nope, I did want to thank listener William Steele for sending in the Bug Droid graphic of the week, which was an adventurous bug droid with an Android faithful, with faithful misspelled. Faithful, kind of abbreviated.
Faithful.
That's Web 2.0.
Faithful.
If Android Faithful came out in 2008, we would spell it FATHFLL, right?
All right.
100%.
But and he's reading the newspaper of Android News, and he's got a backpack, and it looks like he's got a pair of katanas, swords on his back, because he's ready for action. Which I like to see this. So very good. Thank you, William Steele. And additionally, I want to thank some of our patrons as well for supporting us. Big shout out and thank you goes out to my actual personal friend, Ian Ellison Taylor from Washington. Hey, Ian, I hope you're listening. Ian's one of my favorite people in the world, and I didn't even know he was supporting the show. So thank you, Ian.
Isn't it great when your friends give you money?
It's amazing. It's amazing. Ian's an awesome dude. I haven't seen him in years, though, unfortunately, since I moved from San Francisco and he moved to Seattle, back to Washington. But Ian's a great dude, works at Microsoft, at least last I checked. He was at Google for a little bit. He's an awesome guy. So thank you, Ian Ellison Taylor. Thank you, Glenn Hopper from Texas. Thank you, Luca Battaglia from Switzerland. Thank you, Dave Denyer from the UK. And thank you, Brett Spencer from Australia. There was an international edition of supporting patrons. So nice. Ian, Glenn, Luca, Dave, Brett, thank you all. And you can get shouted out on the show. Go to patreon.com/AndroidFaithful. We thank you for your support.
Do it. Do it.
Do it now.
All right. Big time hardware block coming right up
Yes.
after this break. We broke it in half, and now we fixed it, and we're back. And we got to talk about the Pixel 9, y'all, because
Here we go. Buckle in.
every single one of us on this show, this is a supersized show. There's 5 of us today. We were all at the event at Made by Google. We all got...
Everybody hold up your Pixel 9. Mishaal, hold it up.
It's in another room.
He's like, no, I don't like fun.
It's listening to the show in the other room. It's going to give him a
All right.
summary later on.
Mishaal, what color did you get though?
Porcelain. I think everyone who
think
got
we
that
all
Pixel
got
9 at the
porcelain,
event got
yeah.
one.
I wanted
Not
the
all
green
of
one.
us.
You get the green one or the black one?
I got friggin' black. And if there is one part of my job, like I love my job. The worst day of my job is better than the best day on any other job that I've had. But if there's one part of my job that I absolutely loathe, it is taking pictures of black frickin' phones.
Oh, yeah, they're hard
Oh
to
my
take
god,
pictures.
I hate
Hey,
it
you know
so
what?
hard.
White phones aren't as easy either. They have the opposite problem. It's hard to find details sometimes.
They're easier, but
anyways.
fair point.
Yeah,
But
I get it
God,
though.
I hate black phones. Anyways,
So we all ended up with the Pixel 9. We've all had them for a few weeks now. I did release a video, that was kind of like a preview last week on the TechSploiter YouTube channel, and then just on Monday released kind of like the more official review, I guess, as an article on Android Faithful, androidfaithful.com. Which is kind of taking some of the points that I already had in the video and then kind of expanding on them, with another almost week of insight and stuff. But I thought, we all have the phone, so this should really just be like a collective review portion. But I can just go ahead and rattle off a few things real quick and to kind of get things started. And we could talk a little bit about the 9. I'd say overall, I love the design. I love using this phone. Like, it feels nice in the hand. Every time I pick it up, like, I'm happy that I have this phone in my hand. It's very comfortable.
Good phone feel.
I feel like an unsung hero on this phone is the ultra wide. I love the ultra wide, and I appreciated it even more when I took pictures side by side of with the Pixel 8 ultra wide 8 Pro that I have, and then the 9. And I mean, it just blows it out of the water when you do that side by side. You realize just how crappy the one on the 8 was, especially in low light. Oh my goodness, I did some low light panos with the ultra wide, and they look amazing.
don't they?
I should have pulled it up. Maybe I'll pull it up while y'all are talking about other aspects. Love the screenshots app. I'm using it a lot. I'm actually using it quite a bit and like totally getting into the creating collections and stuff like that around it. I'm finding it incredibly useful. Reimagine, which we kind of talked about already. My experience has been, it's neat, but the novelty kind of wears off pretty fast. So, and the same goes for Pixel Studio. It's cool. You can do that on the device. But like how often am I going to open it up and do things like that? Probably not much, but I do enjoy Gemini Live. I'm really looking forward to multimodal support with Gemini Live in the form of Project Astro, which I imagine is where that's going to head, is as a feature set in Gemini Live eventually. And then the fingerprint sensor being ultrasonic instead of optical is nice on paper. In interaction, it's fine. Like I didn't really have any qualms or real kind of issues with the fingerprint sensor on the 8. And the 9 is, maybe marginally better, I guess, from an experiential standpoint. I know technically it's much better, but yeah, that's like Cliff's Notes version, and I'm curious to know what y'all think.
All right.
I will
don't know
say
if you-
my
sorry.
contribution to the Pixel 9 review, I guess, debate is Pixel Studio. I actually had a lot more fun with it than I thought I would. So I'm going to
Really?
post a link right now just to show some of the creations I did. And, kind of the theme that we've been doing on Android Faithful is using AI to generate bug droids for like our Patreon pick of the week.
Yeah.
So I decided to take that theme and run with it and document my day-to-day life while I was in San Francisco using bug droids and with a variety of different themes. Like I went to the
you went to a
movies.
movie.
I had some yakiniku. I went to the Computer History Museum in Mountain View. Just walked down the streets of San Francisco,
Not
and
bad.
they were really good. Like I was shocked at how good some of them came out Like, of course, there were a lot of issues. I had to redo them so many times because, AI can mess up images pretty easily, and you have to get
Really,
like the
I
right
hadn't
prompt.
heard that.
But
Hey, you got the words right. Now we got the words right.
just look. Some of them look really good, right? And they're adorable too. Like, it was so much fun just using Pixel Studio to generate images.
So on the
that
Pixel
was
Studio,
me because we had to wait an hour for people to get a table at a restaurant. So yeah, that would be sad.
I like the sticker version of it. So that's the thing. That's the thing about Pixel Studio. When you shared these, Mishaal, was I was shocked because Gemini Image Gen before this, no matter how many times I tried, would never generate the bug droid.
Really?
At all.
Oh, really?
Like, ever. Like I
It
tried
was easy for me. I just saw like green Android droid.
Well, yeah, no, and then I played with
mascot.
then I played with Studio, and it for some reason they unlock the ability to use the bug droid, which I think is hysterical. I had a great time
Makes a
with
lot of
Pixel.
sense.
I had a fun time at Pixel Studio with my kids, asking them to give me prompts. I should have made a gallery like this or that, but like my daughter said, a bucket that has a dragon on it in the middle of a grass field. All right, so and Pixel Studio gave us a grass field with a bucket with a dragon on top of it. Where she meant she wanted there to be a dragon like image on the bucket, right? But that's nuance, right? Like that, yeah. So then I reimagined it, and I got a bucket with a dragon, but also had a dragon in it, right?
There you go.
They did some very, they did some fun ones. She wanted she said a baby cheetah that a dolphin is riding on, and instead it gave me a little baby cheetah on a dolphin. So like it didn't hit 100. Hit it out of the park every time, but we're talking 5, from the mouths of babes. Here she said a treehouse that has a ginormous pufferfish inside, and sure enough, we got a treehouse with a giant pufferfish inside. So yeah, Pixel Studio is a blast. It's definitely very cool. Jason, I will echo your comments about the build itself. After using the Pixel 8 Pro for the past year or so, those hard edges that we talked about last year, I feel like are gone with these. Like everything, the edges are kind of curved just enough that it feels nice in your hand and smooth in your hand and that sort of thing. I definitely did enjoy that. I definitely enjoyed that aspect of it. I'm really torn because I don't know whether or not I should switch this to my daily driver away from the Pixel 8 Pro, or wait for a Pro or a Pro XL or a Fold, like the bigger phone, because the smaller phone definitely I do. And Jason, you know how I felt years ago when I talked about wanting small phones. Like I can't believe I'm saying it. Like I got used to the bigger phone size.
Yeah, that happens.
So I can't decide whether or not I want to go daily driver with the Pixel 9, but I'm real tempted. So.
Yeah.
Well, if you get a
also-
Pixel 9 Pro, it shares the exact same dimensions as the Pixel 9. So, like, this case will work on a Pixel 9 Pro if I ever get one. So, I was actually very surprised by that. I didn't realize that they were that close, that they're actually interchangeable.
So I guess the question is whether or not it's the Pro or the XL or the Fold. But I don't know. Wynn, I'd love to hear what you thought.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, Wynn, you just held up the pink case.
yeah,
Is that the
so,
official Google case?
This is the official Google case. So I've never had a review unit before, so I freaked out. And so I actually bought my sister a Pixel Pro, the small one, because she's small hand crew like me. And yes, I can confirm that the official case does match perfectly. And if you want a Pro but want the Pank, you can get the case. It's not quite as vibrant as like the Pixel Pro itself, but it's an option. I have to kind of agree on most points. It feels really good. It does suffer from being slippery AF. This thing did slide off. Ooh, I'm so sorry. Always got that flashlight on, you guys. The build is beautiful. It feels great in the hand. It does slide off of everything. I will say that I also echo Jason's on the ultrasonic being okay. And I realized about halfway through using it that what I thought was really snappy was the ultrasonic fingerprint, but it actually was the face unlock. So keep that in mind. But also, if you're like me and a total, I don't know, paranoid person, and you put tempered glass on the screen protector, the ultrasonic just has stopped working for me completely. It's all on face unlock. So that is something to be aware
common,
of.
Actually, I've heard that.
Yeah.
in two
So
different places.
So I think optical, I didn't have that much, and it makes sense, right? It's optical,
just light.
it's just light. So that is a thing that if you are kind of tempered glass kind of fam and really paranoid, you might want to make sure you feel comfortable with face unlock and it's on. I mean, I also tried Pixel Studio, and I'm gonna and I use it for a very specific thing. I joined my sister, my brother-in-law's Fantasy Football League, and I made team logos for us because my sister and I
Nice.
had the same style. She was Puffin Party. And I think it's like the second link I just linked in the chat. And I was Squid Snacks, and I said, "Hey, like, yeah, make me like a sticker football logo for a team with lots of puffins on it." And everyone was really impressed by the results. So it is really fun with those specific use cases. I will say, like, the phone's like really snappy. Like, I have to admit, like, using this for however long we've had it, you know, other than being kind of still a foldable fanatic now, I would have a hard time justifying going to the Pro over just sticking with the baseline. It's like that good. It's snappy. I mean, obviously over time it's going to be hard to tell, like, or one will tell over time where that remains. But I think these days, apart from just, you know, good storage hygiene, whether you have good storage hygiene or not, and whether you're like playing something like really, I don't know, is Genshin Impact really high performance or high draw on a phone? Is it pretty something like that?
It's that's the game that I typically use to really kind of push a phone, but even that has been it hasn't really been pushing phones all that hard for like the past year or so because I have yet to find a phone that it doesn't run pretty well on. So I don't know if that's anything about optimization on Genshin's part or just powerful processors, but so Genshin Impact is fairly high impact.
Okay, I fortunately didn't try it, but I think barring you needing that, I mean, day to day, I'm like really happy with this phone. I'm kind of surprised.
I'm tempted. I gotta admit, like
the Puffin Party.
There. That's awesome. That's a great idea to do that for the logos. But yeah, I mean, like the power level of the Pixel 9, I think is enough where it's like I don't feel like I would be taking a step down from the Pro in order to use it as a daily driver. It's just the commitment to go through the data transfer, which I know we're going to talk about in a little bit in a moment, but just seems to be like, all right, if I'm going to change my phone, that's like a day I need to spend changing my phone and that sort of thing. But I do want to
20
share.
times a year, man.
I know. I feel for this. I do want to admit,
No sympathy at all.
I tried the Add Me feature. So I got all excited because often I'm not, in the pictures with my family. So for those of you watching the video, you can see a picture of my wife and my son. I teed it up on the couch and then I swapped myself in, and then this was the end result.
You really shouldn't sit on your kids like that.
Where Add Me completely put me on top of my son in the middle of the photo. So I think Add Me still's got some. Now, admittedly, the composition isn't the same.
The composition isn't the same. Yeah.
So I need to train my wife a little more on how to use the tool. But that goes back to the AR interface, Jason, that we ran into, right? Which is like, unless it's exactly the same, you're going to get some really disturbing results.
It takes some education. I had a few of those experiences with my family as well. And just to see like how easy is this for me to hand this off to my wife or my daughter.
Not easy. Yeah.
And I mean, both of them could figure it out eventually, but initially they're like, okay, what the heck is going on here?
What I found the most important thing and where we messed up is that you need to stay standing where you took the first photo and have the second person come out of the photo and come stand exactly where you're standing, because what happened with my wife is my wife got closer. And that's what screwed it up, and the depth of that's what screwed it all up. So it's not easy to use. So
I called the Add Me feature in my review. That was actually one of my misses. It seemed like it was very undercooked for what it was aspiring to be. Because I did a similar thing. I think my photo turned out a little bit better than yours, but I was hanging around with my uncle. And I took a photo of me and my uncle and my daughter, and so that's the interface like completely freaking out on me. And even though I was standing in the exact same place my uncle was, but so I took this picture with me and my uncle and my daughter, where I handed the phone back between me and my uncle, and you can see my daughter's right arm has disappeared for its length.
Oh yeah, look at that.
I mean,
It's
at a glance it looks
there,
fine, and on a phone screen it looks fine, but. It's just one of those AI oddities. So I found that feature to be a little bit undercooked, and I think it definitely has room for improvement, and I think Google will improve that over time. The one thing that none of us have talked about yet is the battery life on the Pixel is phenomenal. Yep. So CNN has a battery life test where you do like the looping video at 50% brightness thing, and it didn't perform as well as some phones in that respect. But I actually just got a notification from Threads that one of my threads like went over surpassed 5,000 views, and it was me noting that with a screenshot that I apparently forgot to plug in my Pixel like all last weekend, and on Monday morning I was still rocking at like 20%, wow. And like it hadn't died yet. There was a lot of alcohol involved over the weekend, which is why I kept forgetting to plug it in. But doesn't change the fact that it really performs remarkably well, and you know.
Speaking of battery, I will go back on my Pixel 8 Pro. Just the past couple of days, I spent with my family at amusement park here over in Pennsylvania, Sesame Place, and I forgot to plug my phone in while we drove from New York. So when we got to the park on Sunday, my phone was at like 65%, and I was like, "Oh, there's no way I'm going to make the day." It was like 10 a.m. So I put on battery saver, and by the time we left at 4 o'clock, I was at 53%. So
nice.
I'll give them credit that the technology has come a long way. I meant to bring the Pixel 9 with me on that trip to take pictures and do stuff, and I forgot it in the chaos. So I didn't get to give it the full amusement park testing there. But
so when you were on battery saver, did you feel like the phone was hobbled in any way when you were using it?
Nope.
Okay.
Especially when you're out doing something and busy, you're not spending a lot of time with it. It's the perfect feature for that situation.
I was actively using the camera, obviously. I was actively using the web and the dumb theme park app to check when we could meet Bert and Ernie. And I was actively using Slack to stay in touch and work, and there was and email, and there was no problems whatsoever. So
nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I was using pull. I wasn't waiting on push. Like I have all notifications turned off, so I open Gmail. I don't have sync. I keep sync off anyway, and so it's like pull down my new email. Okay, let me see everything. Okay, great, and then go from there. So.
Such a rebel.
All right, well, so Pixel 9 round robin reviews. Everybody. So Jason, you printed the review. You give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I mean, I think
right, which is pretty thumbs up. So
yeah, totally.
Win, what is your thumbs up, thumbs down?
Thumbs up. I could use this as a daily driver.
Mishaal?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Yep.
I could use it as a daily driver too, but I'm too much in love with Bookstop foldables.
Yeah, I'm thumbs up too. I'm just too lazy to switch it to my daily driver. And Adam, what was your overall verdict?
Absolutely thumbs up. It's I often say that I'm usually not all that in on the base model phones when there's a pro model available, but yeah, I'm in on this one. And Wild West Dan, one of the commenters, I will have a Fold review coming to CNN probably in about a week or so. So if you want to check that out. Yeah, appreciate your reading.
Yeah, and we've only gotten collectively, this group here at Lighter Faithful has only gotten Pixel 9 into review. Although we're patiently waiting to get the other devices. We'll put them through their paces when we get our hands on them. So very cool. All right, well, that was a lot of Pixel 9 review talk, but there's still more Pixel 9 talk to come, right?
Yeah, very quickly, just some of the things, because most of what I did when I spent my time with the Pixel 9 was just digging for new features and changes compared to previous devices. And starting out, one of the things I noticed is that the Pixel Recorder app, the summarization feature in the Pixel Recorder app is now much more useful on the Pixel 9 series, because it's no longer limited to like basically 5 to 15 minute long recordings, which are useful to nobody. Like on the Pixel 8 Pro and the Pixel 8, if you try to summarize a recording, it has to be between basically like 5 minutes and 15 minutes. Otherwise, it just won't work. It'll complain that it's too short or too long. Well, now on the Pixel 9, I was able to generate a summary of a recording that was about like 41 minutes long. That's, I guess, much more useful because a lot of recordings tend to go a bit longer than like 15 minutes, obviously. Unfortunately, I think it wasn't able to summarize a recording that was like an hour long or anything longer than that. But hopefully this just shows that, it's getting better, and maybe in the future you'll be able to do even longer recordings than it does right now. The next feature, which is actually really useful, and I know people have been talking about this in the chat about touch sensitivity. There's a new feature on the Pixel 9 called Adaptive Touch, which you can find under Settings and Display. This feature automatically adjusts the phone's touch sensitivity based on various environmental factors, activities, and whether or not you have a screen protector applied to the phone. So screen protector, whenever it detects there's a screen protector, it automatically boosts the sensitivity so that you don't have. So it's easier to touch the phone and like actually have inputs registered. Another thing that I noticed in my testing is that when you enable adaptive touch, it also actually makes it easier to use your phone when your fingers are wet. So I did actually do a little testing. I recorded a video comparing the sensitivity on a Pixel 8 Pro versus a Pixel 9, and I had my fingers wet for both. And like my Pixel 8 Pro was like jumbling, it was like zooming in randomly, it was like skipping. But then when I did the test on my Pixel 9, scrolling was perfectly smooth. There were no jumps, no random zoom ins and out or anything like that. So it looks like this feature really helps with using your phone when your fingers are wet.
Which I was at a water park yesterday and having a hard time using my phone. It was such a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for this.
Yeah.
So totally random, but maybe not. Then I wonder, like when we went to like Italy, when we go away on vacation, I have this like case, this waterproof case that you can put your phone in, and of course it seals it. So I took it underwater to see if I could take some pictures underwater, and I could, but it still picks up a lot of the touches from the water that's on the other side of the case, and I wonder if this would prevent that a little bit more, based on what you're saying. Curious.
Yeah.
Another new feature that Google didn't highlight during their keynote is the ability to choose when you want to restore your data. So on previous Pixel devices, you had to restore your data during the setup. Otherwise, you could no longer go back and do that later. On the Pixel 9, there's now a dedicated menu option to restore your data at any time you want. And the best thing about this feature is that it allows you to merge your existing data with data from your previous device. Although it should be noted that you can only do this once. Like you can't like do it multiple times later on. You can't do it like 5 months later on a separate device. But this allows you to basically defer this option during setup. And actually, there are a couple of other under the hood setup related changes that were highlighted by a Google product manager on Twitter a couple of days after the Made by Google event. And they highlighted a couple of interesting things. Is that one of them is that you get the option for the Express setup, as I mentioned, which allows you to transfer your data from your old device. It'll basically recognize whether or not you already have some things on your Google Photos account, and then it'll speed up the transfer by skipping those things. There's also new optimized device-to-device transfers that'll only copy media that aren't backed up your Google Photos in original quality from your old phone. And then also you have more fine-grained control over the kind of data you want to transfer from your old device. Also, RCS chats are much more basically carbon copied from your old device so that you won't have certain text mislabeled as SMS instead of RCS.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
A whole bunch of other things, like a lot of under-the-hood changes that are really welcome, and I kind of wish Google had highlighted this kind of stuff in the keynote or something like that, because setting up a phone is a huge pain in the butt, as Ron just talked about a couple of moments ago. He hasn't set up those
honestly
yet properly.
The MBG event would have been the right place for them to announce that, because everybody there reviews enough phones. They probably would have got a large applause. And
Big cheer. We made it easier to switch phones.
Yeah, exactly. But it's nice to see some excitement. So Paul Dunlop, who works on the team that handles data transfer between phones, posted to Twix, stating that it's this is their their biggest release in terms of data transfer with new features, improvements, and fixes, and did a whole highlight on his thread. So if you go look for Paul Dunlop on Twitter, you can see how he walks everybody through it, which is great to see that excitement.
Yeah, I was just reading out some of his tweets earlier while Jason was scrolling through the other article. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So, very cool. All right. Well, that's not it on the Pixel 9. It just never
But
ends.
the 9 Pro.
The 9
the
Pro.
other
Yeah, let's
ones.
switch gears to the 9 Pro.
The other ones.
So the Pixel 9 Pro XL is touted for having 16 gig of RAM, but it's important to note, and after some testing over on Android Authority by your friends over there, Mishaal, Robert Trigg specifically, they're partitioning some of that RAM specifically for AI. So in Robert's tests over on Android Authority, he shows around 2.64 gig is reserved for AI, which would leave about 13 gig available for apps. He assumes that there are similar reserves for the 9 Pro and the 9 Pro Fold. So about 3 gig of RAM is locked away exclusively for AI Core and for the Tensor TPU to work. And if you never use AI on your device at all, if you don't want to use Gemini Nano or whatever it is, that RAM is just, you can never get it back. You can't use it. And so it's important to note that the Pixel 9, what we just were talking about earlier, does not have a reserve for AI, and it also has less RAM in total at 12 gig. So yeah, there's a cost to all those features on the Pro and the Pro XL and the Fold, and it is approximately 3 gig.
Maybe some
For the
developer
worst
will release
possible
an
reason.
app called the Pixel 9 Advanced, and it'll
So, I
have
mean,
all
is
of
it-
that
Is it
removed.
fair to promote it as a 16 gig of RAM when there's only 13 available?
Yeah,
I mean, it's using.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's using that RAM. It's like it's just wasted
it
there.
is.
It's the same thing as like storage space. Like the operating system takes up a
Right.
Whatever it
good
is, 12 gigs of storage or whatever. So you don't get 128. You only get 114 of user accessible data. Yada yada yada. It just kind of sucks that they're section 3 gigs off for AI. Oh,
I mean, that's a
man.
chunk.
It's like-
Yeah.
I wanna reach out to Android Authority and say you need to rewrite that headline so that it says the Pixel 9 Pro loses 3 gigs of memory for the worst possible reason, or something like that. Just I think that would be much more clicky.
But how do you
anyway.
really feel, Adam?
Oh,
I mean, this really
yeah.
is. I mean, at the end of the day, if there's one thing that we know about the Pixel 9 series and Google's kind of approach with it is their AI device. Like, and that's sort of obvious, but Google has really painted this device as existing because of AI for the most part. It does all the other things that you're used to a smartphone doing, but they hardly talked about anything else other than all of the AI stuff. It's an AI, device. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, no, it's, totally
couple
get it.
more-
Just don't have to like it.
We got a couple more things in hardware, right? When you get the next one?
Yeah, so we were talking earlier about kind of like the growing ubiquity of like AI and how kind of right now the bar is being lowered, but it's still predominantly flagship phones that are touting all the coolest AI features, but probably not for long. And a lot of that is, again, OEMs, particularly chip manufacturers, are really starting to build AI, AI-centric, AI purpose-built chipsets. And so the latest one to come out from Qualcomm is the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3, the Snapdragon S segment being to chips what, the A series of phones are to many of our favorite manufacturers and OEMs. Basically a chipset that targets mid-tier price range, but still bring you, more of the flagship-y level features and experiences. So of course, the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3 will have capacity for or is geared towards making generative AI, mobile gaming like Genshin Impact and other really performance hungry games, more immersive media, faster connectivity, more accessible in mid-tier devices, and they basically have done that by porting their top 7 series features, including on-device AI support. You can't really throw a rock at a chipset without hitting an AI support. Don't throw rocks at chips and SoCs, but
don't
if
throw
you
rocks
did,
at chipsets, everyone, please.
yeah, you probably would hit it, but just don't. But you probably would hit AI on-device AI support. And yet, OEMs are expected soon to announce their Snapdragon 7S Gen 3, touting devices like Realme, Samsung, Sharp, and Xiaomi. So keep an eye on that, especially if you are, a mid-ranger. You'll have more things to play with, including and most kind of like notably AI. So there you go.
AI, all the things.
I
AI,
want Pixel Studio to make an image of someone throwing a rock at a chipset.
Hang on.
Poor
I'll
one.
be right with you.
There we go.
We can do that. We can make that happen. Someone talk about the Tecno device.
Yeah,
and I'll see if I can make that happen.
so Mishaal, you mentioned you're in love with book-style foldables. Well, there may be another option in your future because the hottest manufacturer both Win and I have got our eye on is the fine folks at Tecno, and the Tecno's Phantom V Fold 2 and Flip 2 has leaked. And it's revealing some nice-looking phones that are going to sell for much cheaper than Google's prices at under $1,000 for their book-style foldable, and their flip foldable.
There you go.
Now keep it. Oh, there it is. There's our.
Oh my God, I love it.
Pixel Studio. Hang on, breaking news. Pixel Studio Rock being thrown at a chipset. Thank you, Adam, for that.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
Beautiful.
So, yep.
Technically
Make sure you send that to me.
falling onto a chipset because Pixel Studio won't generate a person yet. So I had to do like falling. I couldn't be throwing.
They can't do people.
Yeah.
So it's important to note that Tecno is mainly focused in the Africa, kind of emerging markets, kind of regions. So the pricing for these phones are in Ghana's currency, GHS. And so the Flip 2 is priced at 9,800 GHS, which is roughly about 630 USD. And then the foldable, the Fold 2 is priced at 16,550 GHS, which is a little over $1,000 in US dollars. I would love to get my hands on one of these Tecnos and put them through their paces. They look pretty cool. And I just do love the fact there was a great article over at yankodesign.com, which kind of follows the journey of Tecno in their design evolution from the 5 to the 5 V Fold 5G to the V Fold 2 and the V Flip 5G to the V Flip 2. And if you're a design nerd or just kind of approaches kind of the changes in the phones and the way the camera is set up in the back and making functional upgrades and things like that, it's worth taking a look at. So it is neat to see Tecno innovating at affordable prices. So,
Love it.
I just want a driving house beat when I hear the name of those phones.
if you're in Ghana, please let us know if you have a Tecno. I assume that just everybody has them there. So yeah.
Must be.
Tecno reached out to me about doing a review for their foldable, and I couldn't find a home for it because it's not sold in the U.S. So maybe
for us.
maybe I'll tell them to send mine over to you.
Yeah, please. We would
Yeah,
gladly.
please do.
Or
Totally.
if you've got yours, Adam, you open invitation to do it over AndroidFaithful.com. We'd love to have you. Like that.
There you go.
Oh, sorry.
go.
Real quick story. My husband, who's also an Android developer, was going through crash reports, and he noticed one crash happening on a Tecno, and he's like, "What's a Tecno?" And then he got a 5-minute rant from me about who Tecno is as an OEM. It was real great. I was so proud. This show is like paying off. Sorry,
I'd love to do the
in many
review
ways,
for you
but-
guys, but honestly, you can't afford me.
All right. Well, send us the phones then. We'd rather have the phones anyway.
I'll get you the
Yes,
phone.
yes. Put us in contact with the phones. We'll make it happen. And this just in, Bug Droid throwing rocks at chipsets.
That's a pretty good one. That's
There
a
you
great,
go.
That's
There
a
you
great.
go.
Actually, Jason
Many
saved those
of
because
them.
we'll use that for the patron pick next week. So save those.
I like that one because it's got a mouth.
Yeah, there we go. It's several different for our audio listeners. Several different drawings of the Bug Droid throwing rocks at chipsets. Some of them have disturbing number of limbs, by the way.
Yeah.
As well. So,
Yeah. Some of them are smiling. Oh, so cute. Well, this hardware season has been crazy, but it's not over yet. Samsung, at least, isn't finished. We have the Galaxy Tab S10 Plus and the Ultra still waiting in the wings, so going to happen sometime soon, probably. At least both got 3C certification in China, which often means that the launch is somewhere around the corner. Yep. But these are not entry-level tablets. Really, it's just a couple of kind of screenshots to show off here. Not a whole lot to see, except that in the leaked images, the Plus does not have the little notch, but it has kind of bigger bezels. The Ultra has slimmer bezels and a little notch. So you know what? You just got to pick your poison. Pick your poison. But there you go. Something to look forward to. Samsung's more top tier tablets still haven't seen the light of day this year, and they probably will soon. So there you go. Get excited.
They're like identical
I
to the
am
last two
excited.
generations.
They really
Yeah.
do, don't they? I was wondering that.
Yeah.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like their top tier tablets. They're always really nice to when I get the chance to review them. I always really
Yeah,
dig
I
them, and
reviewed the
I'm sad when I have to
9
send them
Ultra when
back.
it came out, and it was it was very easy to. It was a very solid laptop replacement. I could do most of my job on the Ultra. One weird quirk though, for some reason. 1Password didn't work in Dex. I don't know if they fixed that, but that was just such a weird quirk that like I would have to switch out of Dex in order to like put in a password. But anyway,
That is weird. I wonder. All right. Blast through some apps.
We do get some app news that we don't want to skip for sure, right, Mishaal?
That's right. So the first thing is if you're a fan of Niagara Launcher, which is one of the really popular minimalist custom home screen launchers on the Google Play Store, their latest beta update has added support for 2 Android 15 features, that being app archiving and private space. So this is actually, as far as I know, the first custom launcher to support these features in Android 15. So app archiving support means that whenever you archive an app through settings, its icon on the home screen on Niagara Launcher will actually show up as the archived version. And then you can tap on it to initiate the restore process from whatever app store you installed it from. And the cool thing about Niagara Launcher is because it already has a feature to hide apps from the home screen, you can also archive an app and then you can later hide it so that it doesn't show up until you later need to use it. The next feature that Niagara Launcher's added support for is private space. And this is one of the bigger Android 15 features that allows you to basically create a siloed partition for your applications. And Niagara Launcher has added support for it to the extent that it's capable of. You can see your private space in the Niagara Launcher. You can scroll down to it. You can lock and unlock it. But there are some limitations with it because of some restrictions in the APIs that Google unfortunately didn't open up to third-party developers, probably unintentionally. But you can read about all those details in the article covering this update that I wrote for Android Authority.
Cool. I miss the days of talking about launchers and things like that. I feel like we were so
It used to be a
prolific with
category that
those,
we
yeah.
wouldn't miss.
Exactly. Well, also
skip.
not only with launchers but also browsers. I do love alternate browsers to Chrome and things like that. And in fact, there's been a browser on Mac OS that I've been using for over a year now called Arc Search. Which is by a startup called The Browser Company, which is really, really interesting. And thanks to some conversation over on Threads, they recently revealed that it's officially coming to Android. So it's already available on iOS and recently on Windows. And somebody asked, when is it coming? If when it might arrive on Android, and their official account revealed, gave a little short clip of the app running on what appears to be a Google Pixel, and it says coming soon. So excited to see that. Arc, I really like the approach with Arc is taken. I don't know if anybody's gotten a chance to play with it or not, but they've done a lot of really cool kind of different ways to approach the browser, at least on the desktop from Chrome. And Chrome for me has just become, I love Chrome, but it's just become such a memory hog these days and so kind of bloated. So every now and then you want to kind of go somewhere else, and Arc has been a great alternative. So I encourage everybody to check it out on the desktop. So. Has anybody else
might
played with
do
Arc at
that.
all, or am I the only one?
No, I never have.
Oh, look at that.
No, I might though, because I used to be in Chrome all the time just because it would sync bookmarks back and forth in between devices and whatnot. But I've been ever since I moved back to Windows, I've been using Edge, so I no longer even get that benefit. So it's just like, maybe I should just try using a different browser just to see what happens on my phone, not on my browser. I'm way too embedded into Edge in order to move out of that. But maybe on the
To
phone I'll
set
give it a
your
whirl.
ways.
Yeah,
I
I like
am.
it. I mean, it's
It's my
definitely
workflow.
more search oriented. Which like when you open it up, main window is just search or enter a URL to get you started. But they've got this really cool kind of side pane that you can work with and have bookmarks, and I like it. It's a very good design. So
Nice.
cool.
Nice. Well, YouTube mobile app is getting a little bit of an update to the share sheet. Specifically, it's going to make it easier if you're watching a video and it's at a particular moment and you're like, you know what, I want to share this particular moment. You can do like a URL hack. Like you can, share the URL and then add a little extension to it, T equals, and then whatever
it's the number of
hours,
seconds.
minutes, seconds.
It's so not.
Well, you can do it hours, minutes, seconds. You can do like 1H.
I've always done the
1H 45M.
Yeah, I've done some horrible math for that.
Yeah, thankfully you don't have to do that math if you don't want to. Just put it in hours, minutes, seconds with HMS after the number. But this is easier because now what you're going to get in the share sheet, essentially, if I can show it, is you're going to get this little toggle. So if you've played through a certain part of the video and then you tap the share, I wonder if it keeps playing or it just kind of notates that time. But anyways, it says start at 14:02. If this is toggled on, then the link that you create or you share out will have that embedded into the link. So it makes it a little bit easier. It's kind of an annoyance that'll get a little bit easier.
Finally.
That's nice.
Finally, I'm
now
so
they just
excited.
have to clean up the rest of the share sheet.
Always. Why is the share sheet just always just a point of
It's such a
contention?
dumpster fire. I've been
improve
sharing different links to my wife is the only person that I ever really share stuff to, and she's never in the list. When you first get that initial list of Facebook Messenger contacts, it's like I haven't talked to any of these people in a decade. Why are they in my? Why are you trying to set me up with other people that I don't even like anymore? It's just so annoying. It's anyway, stupid AI.
We'll just blame everything on stupid AI, even if it has nothing to do with it.
Thanks, Obama.
Jeez, that's an old one.
That's a callback. All right, Win, take us home.
Yeah, we got one more thing for you. If you are a user of Google Tasks, you're going to get a slight redesign, and I hope you aren't too attached to the bottom app navigation bar because it's going away. The Google Tasks redesign, which kind of aligns it with the current experience on task.google.com, the web version, removes the bottom navigation minus the floating action button and basically moves all of the functionality, the sorting, the overflow menu up into the now card-based interface. And there you go. It makes it a little more material UI too. But if you're not a big fan of the bottom nav, then you're happy. If you were using it, I'm so sorry, but there are places to get what you need in the Tasks app. So there you go.
All right, show of hands. Who uses Google Tasks for their task organization and managing?
I use it for reminders.
Do you? I never even.
I'm a reminder. I don't want to use that word, but I'm a reminder fanatic. Let's just say that. I literally, while we are on this podcast, I set a reminder for myself, a week from now, I should do this. So, because it's my brain. If I don't act on things when they pop into my brain, it just never happens. So
yeah, I know that.
I do reminders remind me when I get home to tell my wife that she's beautiful, or stuff like that. So I don't need a reminder for that. I tell her that all the time. Love you, babe.
I know she listens to all of your podcasts, the ones that
she
you
does.
produce and the ones that you are guesting on. So,
intently. Yeah.
All right. Well, we do have some emails coming up, but we're going to take a quick break. See, so super quick. Contact@androidfaithful.com is the email address that you can use with your email address app of choice. Whatever it is, we aren't going to judge. Send us an email, and we'll read it on the show. Ron, you got the first one.
We will indeed. And in fact, I said earlier in the show, this is a callback to the top of the show when we were talking about call notes, because we got an email here from Paul Goodman who writes in and says, thought you'd be interested in my experience ordering and setting up the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Before I ordered it, I called Google and spoke to one of their Pixel support team. They assured me that the feature I was interested in was available on the phone in Canada where I live. I asked them if they were sure, and they said yes. So I ordered the phone. Once I set up the phone, I discovered that the feature I wanted, call notes, was not on my new Pixel. So I called the Google Pixel team again and was told that call notes wasn't available in Canada. So why the heck did the first person I spoke to tell me the opposite? The reason I called them in the first place was because I saw on Reddit and YouTube that some people saying that call notes wasn't available outside the United States. And Canada is a one-party permission country. As long as one party on the call knows a recording is being made, it's legal. The entire experience was a big waste of time and very disappointing. Please let others know not to listen to what Google tells them and triple confirm any info Google gives you. Thanks, Paul Goodman. And I mean, that's incredibly frustrating when customer service tells you one thing and then you find out the opposite. Right.
What's also frustrating is something Paul brought up. I also kind of wanted to mention when I talked about call notes earlier, is that as he mentioned, Canada is a one-party consent country. I mean, I'm assuming that's true. I'm not looking it up right now, but even in the U.S. states that are one-party consent, you can't record phone calls on a Pixel phone. The Google Dialer app actually has the ability to record phone calls, but Google disabled it on all Pixel phones, no matter what region or state you're in. And that feature, the Google Phone app has the ability to play like a recording, like a tone saying this call is being recorded, which counts as consent, because if you stay on the call after that, you're consenting to being recorded. It has that capability, and there are states where it's legal, but they still don't enable it. We have to wait all this time for this call notes feature just to be able to record phone calls. Like, I didn't even care about call notes particularly. I just cared about, finally, you can record phone calls with it.
Right. It's crazy.
Because AI.
Because AI.
Because AI.
But anyway, so if there's something you want, keep asking until you get. But the thing is, you got the answer. Like, they said yes. It's like, that's a bummer.
You got an answer, but it wasn't the one you wanted.
Yeah.
That's honestly the most aggressive email I've ever seen written by a Canadian. So, like, he must be furious.
Not happy
to have written that strongly.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jason, you got the next email.
All right. Let's see here. This email is from Larry Moyer, Metamora, Michigan, who writes in to say, I enjoy the show, listen every week. With the introduction of the new Pixel 9 phones, Google is offering deals that you get the phone almost free if you sign up for Google Fi for 2 years. Wow, that's a good deal. I currently have AT&T as my cell provider. As intriguing as it is to try Google Fi, a person should choose the cell provider that works best in their area. For me, that is AT&T. That said, I have read Google Fi uses the Verizon and US cellular networks. My question, what has been your experience with Google Fi? Have you experienced dead zones, dropped calls, other issues with Google Fi? Thank you. I had Google Fi a number of years ago, and I was pretty happy with it. I think I was only really with Fi for maybe a couple of years, but yeah, I found the coverage in the Bay Area to be pretty strong. But
something major you got to correct in that email. Google Fi does not use Verizon. It uses
T-Mobile. No. It's not Verizon. What is it? It's T-Mobile.
T-Mobile. The email said it uses Verizon. Yeah. So if you're switching over, that is a big thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, I want to say it's a combination of AT&T and T-Mobile.
I don't think they use AT&T.
It was at one time, and then there's been some shifting and stuff like that. I lost track.
T-Mobile, but now I think it's just T-Mobile, and I think US Cellular in some areas.
Maybe US Cellular, which I'm still continuously surprised that it exists. But
so if I've been on T-Mobile for years, and I'm happy on T-Mobile, and moved to Google Fi, it's the same cell service, basically.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. It's an MVNO of T-Mobile.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Except I won't
it's not like
get
a deprioritized one either. I think you're pretty much like considered
I think it's legit.
First class on either network.
Okay, yeah, so, it's only T-Mobile now. It was US Cellular and T-Mobile up until a year or two ago. Sorry.
Okay.
So the only thing I wouldn't get is MLB TV for free in every March because I'm not a T-Mobile customer anymore.
Well,
you wouldn't get your T-Mobile Tuesdays.
Yeah, you wouldn't get your free stadium seating mat that they gave out today, which is huge.
I'm still a Google Fi user. Have been for ages, at least 2016. What's 2000? Oh, before that, like ages, whatever the math on that is. 2016 minus a couple years.
Math is hard.
Yeah, just especially age-related math. So I do have not necessarily dead zones, but very kind of low connectivity zones. Like one of my aunt, who's like my second mom, she lives over in a rural area of Maryland, and it's always kind of sketch there. But like internationally, like the kind of all the perks of Google Fi, like all the international connectivity has been really great because my husband and I travel so much for like work and stuff. So kind of what do you call it? Pros and cons. So,
well,
but
I mean, now I'm considering it now because I'm looking at the Google Fi Unlimited Plus plan, and it's $65 for one person, and you get unlimited data and calls, unlimited data. With slower data after 50 gig per person, but I've never hit 50 gig. In a month.
50 is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Unlimited
really
hotspot tethering, which count towards your monthly data usage, which I do use a lot, and I think I've crossed 4 was the most I've ever gone through. That's very tempting. I'm paying more than that on T-Mobile right now. So
yeah, and actually, if you are for some reason a data hog, like I don't know, like we were in Japan and we were just using our phones way too much, you can actually, I believe, now pay to get rid of like the reduced speed. It's just if you're just really desperate for data, they have kind of made it. You can pay your way out of jail, out of speed jail.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
Interesting.
first world problems, but yeah.
Tempting.
Yeah, I've actually been very tempted to switch over to like something like Mint now that they have international plans because, one of the benefits of using T-Mobile was, you can go to Europe and you're fine because it's Deutsche Telekom over there. It's the same company. But now that some of their MVNOs have introduced international pricing plans, it's been pretty tempting to maybe switch over.
So here's a little more about the deal Larry was saying. So if you have 1 day left, by the way, so I'm going to pull the trigger on this. I need to do it quickly.
Ron, you got to jump on it.
But here's the deal, and here let me I'll share my screen so folks can see it that are watching. If you so here it is. You get an extra $500 back on a new Pixel 9 phone when you join Google Fi, and you could stack that on top of the other deals they have. It's $500 over 24 monthly bill credits when you sign up for Unlimited Plus for the Pixel 9, Pixel 9 Pro, Pixel 9 Pro XL, or any plan for the Pixel 9 Fold. So you're getting $500
It's a 2-year contract.
but it's over 2 years. Yeah, it's a 2-year. Yeah, so 500 divided by 24. But still, you're saving $500. But it's not like I'm saving $500 on the price of the phone.
Yeah, you're kind of loaning them $500 for the next 2 years.
It's arbitrage, right? Yeah. So yeah.
So yeah, you do, but yeah, you'll feel it. That's the thing. You'll feel it now versus like getting $500 off and not feeling it.
Right.
Discounts on new phones are the new contracts that we got rid of thanks to T-Mobile, but it was really nice for like that year and a half before they figured out that they can do that, over 24-month credit. That was a real sweet about 18 months that we had when contracts actually did go away. But then, they figured it out. So we're back to where we were before.
I'm happy with the fact that it seems like trade-in values for some of these things have been pretty good. Samsung's been really good about trade-in values. Google seems to be really good about trade-in values,
but
for
only
even much older Pixel
depending on the
devices.
carrier, though, it's often only if you're on their most expensive plan. T-Mobile is you only get the good deals if you're on their like Magenta Max that costs like $85 a month or whatever plan, which pisses me off every time a new phone comes out. AT&T actually went from 24-month contracts to like 36-month contracts, which is so awesome of them.
3 years.
Yeah. So
Well, at least it's not 7, since we're getting 7 years of updates.
right.
Someday. All right, Win, you got the last email. Thank you, Larry, for that email. Oh, you're
Win's on
muted.
mute.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Happens to all.
Yeah, and we've got another callback email kind of going back to when we were going over percentages of old versions of Android and pontificating on why in the world is Android 14, 13, 12. Some of these Androids are just hanging around forever. And we got an interesting story from Mike from Georgia. Hi, Android Faithful team. I work in retail for a club warehouse store, and while sitting at my desk listening to your show, out of curiosity, I decided to pick up one of our many Zebra RF guns and check which version of Android it's running. we're still rocking 8.1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
I looked to see if they have access to Google Play services. That's amazing. And they do, since we use an app called Velocity, and Google Play is how it stays up to date. I know these Zebra units are super common in retail. I see them everywhere. So it may be a contributing factor to the older Android version still running. Although I'm not sure if Google is tracking enterprise products like this. I just had to throw my 2 pennies into the pile of this ongoing conversation. Thanks, guys. Stay cool. Mike from Georgia.
What I love about this is Mike was sitting there listening to the show and just at work and was like, let me look at this.
Wait a minute.
I wonder.
And
What
pulled it
is
up,
this
right?
thing?
That's amazing.
Going on
Bravo,
under
Mike.
the
Good
hood
on
here?
you. So, yeah, I mean, that's what we're saying, that there are millions of devices running these old versions of Android out there, and it's going to be like whack-a-mole for the rest of our lives, I think. It's awesome.
Oh yeah. That hasn't changed since the beginning, basically.
I just got to know, Mike, did you check the version by like scrolling up from the bottom?
Yeah,
of
how
the
did you
gun
get
screen?
there?
Like, I need
'Cause
to
usually-
know.
Usually devices like that, if they are running Android,
Like,
it's not like
kinda-
they just give you access to an Android home screen with a Google Play Store logo down there. Usually it's
Yeah.
Well, if it
There
has
was,
Google, if it has the Google Play Store and Google Play services, it probably does give you some access to settings. What I find
Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
though is if we were to somehow able to catalog all Android devices, including those without Google Play services, just how much more skewed would the statistics look like? Because like right now, they're already really skewed towards older Android versions. It's just like how much
Yeah.
more skewed would it be if we
Oh,
included
yeah, way.
devices without the Google Play Store? I think it'd
Totally.
be crazy.
Right. Oh, totally.
it'd be
Well,
nuts.
and- I don't, yeah, because there is a way to get to the Android version. I used to have one of those, like before AI, or not AI, sorry, VR, the other AI. Before VR like really became a thing, I had one of those like, mobile headset movie theater things that, ran off of some, and I was looking at the interface, I'm like, this has to be like Android 5 or something like that. And I got into the settings, and sure enough, it was like Android 5.1 or something like that. Not this was many years ago, so don't get
I
me
remember
wrong.
those.
This wasn't
I
like
remember
yesterday.
those.
But yeah, it's so fun. And is it just the fact that like maybe Google just doesn't charge as much or doesn't charge at all once you're like older than a certain version or something like that? I kind of wonder like why the old versions of Androids are always the default for things like that. There has to be some type of cost savings involved, I would think. Because otherwise there's really no reason to use that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
version of
that
Android.
that depends on the age of the device in question.
It depends on the chipset. Like 95% of that decision is the chipset. What
Oh, so
is
maybe they
available
just
for
went
that
with a
chipset?
super cheap. I got you.
Super
Yeah,
cheap ones
okay.
have older versions of Android in their board support packages.
That makes
Well,
sense.
We're going to keep tracking it. Please keep sending us your stories of finding especially old Android. I mean, I think generally we like Android in weird places, but old Android in weird places, please keep sending us your story.
This is like
stories.
the Android in the wild
Yeah.
section
I
that
love
we've
it.
had. Except
It's wonderful.
Tangent of that.
Going back to the Google Store and that Google Fi deal, if you so basically I'm reading the details of it, right? And
You're really thinking about this, aren't you?
it's basically $20 off your Google Fi bill every month for the life of your contract, right? So you're saving $20 a month. And if you do the 36-month financing through the Google Store to buy the phone, it's $50 a month. So really, it's $30 a month to buy the phone because you're saving $20 on the bill, right? Like,
Yep.
Fun
Yep.
with math, everybody. Fun with math.
It's fun.
To justify our sickness in needing to have the Fold.
Yes.
So I'm very tempted.
Well, I
All
think
right.
that's the end of it. In
it.
order to find out if Ron actually goes and starts a Google Fi account, tune in next week. But that's it for us this week for Android Faithful. And it is a full house. It is a party this week, especially because we got Adam Doud in the house. Adam, so happy to see you in person and now. What do you want to tell the people about what you're doing? What are you doing? How you doing? What do you want them to know?
I'm doing all the things. So no, I'm writing for /Gear and for Forbes Vetted and for CNN Underscored, as we saw earlier. That's where my Pixel review was going. That's where my Pixel Fold review will be going, is CNN_. When I'm not doing all of that, I'm doing my own thing, Benefit of the Doud. That is an old, outdated website. It's actually easier just to find me at just youtube.com/Benefit of the Doud. No, you don't have to go there if you don't want. But so that's where Cliff is my partner, and we do reviews roughly every week. We've been a little bit lax about it recently, but roughly every week. And then we have a Patreon as well, where we give you a few different benefits, including audio-only versions that you can plug into your podcast player and get back to the old podcasting days, which is always fun. But yeah, so we've had a few fun devices on that channel. We do some audio stuff. We do a little bit of everything. We do phones, audio. We just did a Pixel tablet review from like a year and a half ago. Better late than never. But yeah, so it's a good time.
And it was a wonderful time having you, Adam. Next,
you,
the man,
Adam.
the myth, the legend, Jason Howell. I've been waiting weeks to say that. I always want to say
wow.
that about Jason, but
That
I'm going to pull it
long?
out. I know. Just
Waiting that
weeks.
long.
Whole week. Well, I had to hold it in, just like for a special moment now that we're having a party. But Jason.
Don't wait that long again. Just say
Okay.
it every time you see me. There'd be
Okay,
no-
noted.
every time.
Noted.
Just kidding. It's actually kind of awkward. Don't say that at all. You can find my everything for the most part at youtube.com/@techsploder. That is one word. I know that AI never gets it right. Anytime AI hears that, it says text bloater
Oh, no.
as two words. There's like three different like variations that it comes up with, but it is in fact tech as in technology and sploder as in it's sploding or exploding or whatever. Anyways, go there. All my stuff is there. That's really all you need to know. Thank you, everybody.
And you guys should always know that, of course, most of our news comes from a very credible and reliable source that is our own Mishaal Rahman. Like so many. I was like looking through the sheet today. I was like, Mishaal.
There's a lot.
Mishaal's busy. Mishaal's busy. Mishal, what do you want people to know about what you're doing?
If you want to find out what I'm working on, you can go to Twix, Mastodon, Threads, etc., at Mishaal Rahman to follow me and get like a news alert whenever I post something new. Usually it's just me posting a link to some article I wrote on one of the publications that I write for. And if you want to support the work that I do, you can go to patreon.com/Mishaal Rahman. Join the community, my Discord community, where I actually post very frequently. I tease and I reveal a lot of the things that I post about later. So if you want to get like an early heads up at some upcoming features in Android 15, you can join that group and, ask me questions and get a couple of inside scoops on what Google's cooking up.
Nice.
Nice, thanks, Mishaal. And it's never a party without Mr. Ron Richards. Mr. Ron
Yes.
Richards.
If you want to listen more of my sploding podcast banter, you can go to fanboy.com. Where actually last week I was on the show. I wasn't on this show last week, so I didn't plug it. But last week came out the 50th episode of our Media Splode podcast, where every month we talk about TV, movies, and fun stuff, and we talk about Twisters and House of the Dragon and other cool stuff on there. So go listen to me, Josh, and Connor talking about that stuff over on iFanboy, and stay on the feed to listen to Josh and Connor talk about comic books every week. So good stuff.
Good
Get
stuff.
this Android stuff. Can I go on that other podcast? That was great.
Yeah, it's fun times. Fun times.
And as for me, I am an Android developer. This week, I kind of also moonlighted as a show host. Actually, this week. So anyway, you find my usual stuff at randomlytyping.com. The extra special thing this week is that while I was at Made by Google, I filmed the quarterly Android show, which is like a kind of marketing educational thing to let Android devs know what the cool stuff Google is doing. And so the episode was just released today on youtube.com. Just look for hashtag the Android show. And you can see me with my co-host, John Zoller, who, by the way, is so freaking tall, I was standing on a box. So if you are looking at the footage from MBG, I literally was standing on a box. See, he's just super tall. And so, yeah.
He's very tall. Yes,
he's very
I
tall.
can attest.
Yeah,
I saw the box on the floor.
Yeah,
I witnessed it.
Jason was taking B-roll, and I was like, look at me, I'm on a box. So, but yeah, please check it out, especially if you're into Android development. But yeah, that is us for this week for the Android faithful. We are on all of your favorite, podcatchers of choice. And this podcast publishes every Tuesday evening. Don't forget to go to androidfaithful.com to subscribe, see articles that everyone's writing. And of course, email us at contact@androidfaithful.com for all your stories and questions related to the wonderful world of Android. But that's it for this time. We'll see you next time, and keep dancing, Android Faithful.
Jason Howell with the
I'm getting
new seizure-inducing ending.
It's glitching. It's glitching. I can't turn it off. Oh no.
So I ordered a shirt, but like I got a server error when I tried to check out. But PayPal said that it sent you the money, so hopefully
now you're going to get
shirt.
10 shirts.
Hang on.
Maybe, I don't know. But
I can tell you if it went through. 1 second.
Okay. So a funny thing about the so I use AI. I use usually
what is
Copilot.
that?
You use AI.
I use
I heard so much
Copilot.
about this AI thing.
I know, right? I use Copilot to write all my YouTube descriptions because, like, you know, it's easier. And for the longest time, it kept. It would say, "Welcome to the Doud podcast," and then like go on from that. Even though I would say clearly, benefit of the Doud. And if I finally figured out what was going on, it's because I would write the prompt would be write a description for the benefit of the Doud YouTube channel, in which yada yada yada, and it didn't read that as benefit of the Doud is the title of the podcast. It thought it was writing a YouTube description for the benefit of the Doud podcast.
The Doud podcast.
And it took me so long to figure that out, and it was so
funny.
frustrating.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
That's a really cool. I don't know. I just, for some reason, I find that so cool that, I mean, it's a mistake, but the
Quotes.
nuance, that's cool.
Right. Oh,
Add
yeah.
quotes around the things.
My
Yeah, I
latest-
think I want to say I tried that, and I don't.
Or
think it
all
worked,
caps if you want to, you know what I mean? If you wanted to separate it from something
Right.
else or have it
my
be
latest
Right.
my latest AI journey was I was bored the other night. And I spent about 20 minutes trying to get ChatGPT to take a stance on the Zodiac killer.
But- Okay.
Where it was like, tell me the Zodiac killer. Who are the suspects? I'm like, okay, based on that, who do you think did it? Right? And it's like, and it always ends like, well, I can't be sure, or whatever. I'm like, no, I understand that you can't be sure, but if you had to guess, who would it be?
You had
Right.
to pick someone.
I
Who would
will
it be?
not. I will not do that. But
And then I did that with Jack. Then I did
It's
that with Jack.
shaking
then-
and
then
smoking,
I did it,
you know, pouring smoke while it's
then I
smiling.
did it with Jack the Ripper. And
Oh,
then
God.
I did it with
Jeez.
the Kennedy assassination, where I'm like, come on, do you really think Oswald acted alone? And like, the only thing I got to
Amazing.
definitively to say is that it definitively does not think the mafia was involved in the Kennedy assassination.
okay, well that's progress. You know,
Everything else
honestly,
is possible, but that
you need to make that conversation a Patreon perk. Like you should publish
well,
that.
What
that
inspired
whole
me was a
conversation.
buddy of mine in San Francisco, a pinball buddy of mine, did the thing where I guess ChatGPT can roast your Instagram feed. Like if you upload
really?
if you upload a screenshot of your Instagram feed and say roast me, and it makes fun of you, and it's very funny. And
No kidding.
he posted the screenshots of his chat with ChatGPT, and I just had to laugh because he said, you know, roast my Instagram feed, and then it did it, and he said, great, now flirt with me based on my Instagram feed, and then he wrote, do it. ChatGPT flirted with him. It was just,
That's awesome.
oh, it was good.
Whoa.
So,
That's kind of amazing.
all right.
af.showbot.tv if you want to place votes. We have a lot of titles, and there is
That is a
top,
lot of
top
titles.
pick.
My goodness.
Don't throw,
Don't
rocks,
throw
at
rocks at
chipsets.
chipsets.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Kind of seems like an
Oh,
obvious
by
choice to
three.
me.
By three.
That's my
Mishaal
favorite
has
one.
his reasons. Your
I
recorded
kinda
call
like
is
Creepy
important.
Good. I kind of like Creepy Good.
Creepy good.
Creepy good.
I like
Yeah.
Pixel Studio, more fun than expected. I do like that.
There you go.
Disappearing arm made by Google. Add me. Don't
Disappearing
overlap
arm
me.
made by Google sounds good to me.
Or collect the whole set. That has some.
Yeah.
I know I'm
I collect them
gravitating
all.
towards the one.
Add
that
me,
I
don't
said,
overlap me. That's a good one too.
but- Oh, there you go. But
AI sucks. Memory.
AI sucks, even though one of the hosts has a whole podcast about it.
Hey, we talk about AI not being awesome. We
I
also
would
talk
hope
about
so.
AI being awesome. Old Android in weird places. FIFO Ron. Collect the whole set. Got to collect them all. AF Live at DroidCon. I love the ones that are just like, here's a fact.
Yep. This is a thing that is going to happen.
What is reality? I like that.
These 4 words were spoken on the show. That's basically all of our titles.
So
I know. I like Don't Throw Rocks at Chipsets personally. That's my favorite. But
Yeah.
it's not very SEO
In
driven.
one of your emails, I was blocked in the frame, so I tried to put tape over my sign so it just said AI on it, but apparently painter's tape is not thick enough. And I couldn't find my gaffer's tape. But anyway,
That's funny.
Anyone else have strong feelings for
I
titles?
like chipsets.
oh,
Don't Throw
Mishaal
Rocks at
has his
Chipsets.
reasons.
Mishaal has his reasons. That's my vote right there.
I think it's better we avoid meta titles. That only makes sense to people who already listen to it.
Yeah.
No,
totally.
agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, so then it sounded like the two like, would be Don't Throw Rocks at Chipsets and Disappearing Arm made by Google. I heard a vote for that as well.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
My daughter will
many?
be thrilled.
Doesn't seem like anyone has any strong opinions. So I'm just going to pick the top one. Don't throw
rocks chipsets. That's a good one.
Yeah.
at Chipsets.
A little tiny.
Oh,
if
did
we
you want me
use
to
it for
send
the-
you that picture? I don't think I have it anymore.
Oh,
That would make for a good
yeah.
thumbnail.
Yeah.
You holding up the.
Jason used one of the ones you did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got a
Yeah,
whole
there you go.
assortment of them.
Yep.
Could do a collage. It'd be a really confusing thumbnail. Remove the
All right.
background and just place them everywhere.
What a marathon. Thank you, Adam, for joining us.
Yeah.
Really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks, Adam. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you,
going
Adam.
to text my
Appreciate
wife
it.
and tell her she can let the dogs go.
I can't wait to get out of this room. I am like roasting right now. Oh,
All right.
Yeah, it's probably my wife too, because I also had to turn off the air because I'm sitting in the room where the central air is.
the fan goes.
Yeah, that's me when I'm in my Maryland office.
like-
I have to turn everything off, and I'm sweating by the time I end the show.
Cousin of Ja. Fun show, and as always, Tuesday therapy.
Aw, thank you, cousin. Bob.
Thank you, Cousin of Shaw. Thank you, everybody, for being in the chat and contributing.
chat
and
people.
Being here. You're all awesome. We're going to shut down the stream, though, because we got to end the recording and everything. So thank you for being here. And we will
Oh
see
yeah,
you
I'm not
next
allowed to
time.
go anywhere until my.
We love you.
No, you stay there. You stay put.